So $0 budget, no problem. I mean, I definitely figured that one out because I had to, right? I had no option. So it was make it or break it for me. And I spent money, I spent no money, I did it all. I know a little bit about it all. So I can kind of tell you what to avoid and kind of how you can do it. But nowadays I feel like I've perfected the setup in a way that I know you can do this with no money. I mean, is it literal $0? I mean, that's kind of tough, right? I mean, hopefully at least have 50 bucks so you can kind of get something going. But the more, those few dollars, those first few dollars go a long way for sure. But yeah, let's talk about a few different marketing channels that we can do, Cold calling is very popular, very prominent. That's what we do at Royal Equity because it's so scalable. You can get that going in no time. And you can do it yourself as well. SMS text marketing, it's been working really great for the last few years and it's very cheap. Cold calling SMS is one of the cheapest lead sources. It's going to be around $30 a lead. And that's why I say the money is expensive because if I tell you that you're going to need like 50 to 60 leads to get one deal closed, I mean, what's 50 times 30? You're going to spend a few $1,000s, probably a couple $1,000s, $3,000 maybe to get a deal. So you got to make sure that you have that in the budget, first of all, or you just be willing to work super hard to get those leads yourself. There's also direct mail. Ennis, they do a lot of direct mail here. But also remember, Ennis has been doing real estate investing for a while, so he's got the budget to do direct mail, which is very expensive actually, just because each mail piece costs at least 50 cents to $1. So you think every person that's on a list of 200, that's $200, and you may not get any responses. You get maybe like a 1% response rate, right? But that 1% pays the bills, and I think that's the key to marketing. Understand what you got to spend and what kind of return you can expect. So that's why it's important to track your numbers as well. You want to know how much mail you're sending, how much you're spending, and you want to keep an eye on the ball. Otherwise, you're going to kind of get discouraged because you're not seeing the results. But maybe you just only sent 300 pieces, right? You probably got to send like 10,000 pieces. SEO, that's search engine optimization. That's like Google, if you have a website that's really ranking, hey, I want to sell my house fast in Natick, hopefully Ennis's website will come up, Whiteacre Properties, we buy houses cash, right? You want to have a good web presence. And Facebook links, YouTube links, all that helps your SEO kick up. So your website is going to be ranking a little bit further up the road. And that's going to kind of beat up the next investor. And that's just organic. These are organic leads. So anytime that somebody goes into your website and fills out a web form and you get an SEO lead, these are like probably $500 leads, But hey, they're highly convertible. Like you can probably convert almost every one of them or maybe 1 out of 5. I mean, who knows? It depends where you are, but they're very high quality. There's also PPC, pay-per-click. That's another marketing channel that's very popular today. I see a lot of investors having success with PPC, doing that nationwide. So Google pay-per-click is like when you go to Google, right? You click on the first link, the hyperlink. That's what it is. Basically, Google will charge you, and they're trying to spend your money. They're trying to put your ads in the right places for the right searches. But the issue with PPC is it's very expensive and it takes a lot of time. I see a lot of investors get a couple of deals, they want to spend $5K in PPC, they heard somebody doing it. You're going to go broke with PPC for sure because it takes a long time for the algorithm to start going your way. You have to have your website optimized because at the end of the day, it's just linking back to your website, right? So, but PPC is very good. I mean, those leads come in, people typically are like Googling, sell my house fast, and they'll go in there, start filling web forms. So if you're late to that phone call, I mean, somebody probably already locked it up. That's got to be like on its own ringtone, if you're answering that. And that's the issue too with, and time and money as an investor. Like you don't want to be at a barbecue and you're like, oh man, I got to handle a motivated seller right now. I'm just not ready for this. But it's part of growing pains, right? You got to delegate, you got to get yourself an acquisitions person in your team so that you're not the one always doing every single task in your business. Facebook. Facebook is another great lead source. A little bit inconsistent if you're doing the paid ads because the algorithm's always changing up on you. You can never really get on top of it. I've seen people try. I think ultimately it's just like you're chasing it. You're never going to really get there, but you are going to see results along the way. I just don't love it, but I have had success with the free ads. What you can do is go to your market, type in, flea market, off market, or you just join off market real estate investor groups. You'll see deals there too. But you're looking for like trade groups, flea market, any kind of community-based groups. You can just go and add, just search Natick, whatever, and try to add as many as you can. And you can start posting, hey, I'm looking for a property. Want to know if anybody was maybe looking to sell. And you actually get it. I mean, and that's like if you have no money, that's probably one of the good ones to start. I actually bought 2 houses with that. And we're actually going to talk about that very briefly in a little bit. But just a lot of work though. Just a lot of work. You got to post daily, probably 30 to 50 ads in 30 different groups. And they're probably going to block you out of a few, but that's okay. That's just part of how it goes. Bandit signs. Bandit signs is also very popular. That's kind of like the Wild West way of doing wholesale deals. You know, you've probably seen it on the pole, right? Just stick it up there. We buy house cash. I mean, somebody has to do it. I don't want to be the one doing it. That's how I feel about that. I don't want to leverage my money that way, you know. But hey, if I can pay somebody to do it and they're willing to do it and they're going to put up 100 every night, hey, you go out there and have fun, you know. But it doesn't work in some markets. I mean, some markets like Phoenix, they'll take them out in 2-3 hours. They don't play because there's so many investors flooding it. They literally have like almost task forces, I feel like, to try to take us down, you know. But Bandit signs is good and it's cheap. It's like $1 Bandit sign or 70 cents. And these guys will usually order like a huge pallet. You know, it just comes like the big truck by the office, drops up whole stack of them. You know, it's kind of crazy, to be honest. I don't love it. I don't love Bandit signs, but there's money to be made in every channel. Referrals is a phenomenal way to get deals because, I mean, what better way, right? Hey, I know this guy here. He's my friend. I'd love to have him come by, you know, and you should chat with him, right? I mean, that's a layup at that point. Referrals are great, so always be telling people what you do. And you don't have to get in depth, like, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I buy houses. Let me know if you know anybody looking to sell. Love to see if I can help them out. That's all it is, right? Just let people know what you do. You're going to get some money coming in that way, or other wholesalers, other investors. Door knocking, phenomenal way right there. Door knocking, highly effective because nobody wants to do it, especially not in the heat, right? Right now, summertime, nobody's really doing it. If you're door knocking pre-foreclosures almost exclusively, you're going to have a lot of success. Probably 1 out of every 100 door knocks, you're probably going to get a deal. That sounds pretty good to me, honestly. But I mean, 100 doors would probably take you 2-3 days, you know. But it definitely works. I just wouldn't be door knocking anything. I would be probably door knocking pre-foreclosures. And I'd just be always pulling that pre-foreclosure list every Friday. And you can get that from like your local title company, a local attorney, local investor. Go to propstream.com. I mean, you can go to Zillow, get a pre-foreclosure list. It's everywhere. It's not that hard to get. It's public information. They put your name out there on blast for this exact reason. Radio, TV, these things are kind of a little bit more popular nowadays. Not a whole lot of people have been doing it, but they're incredibly effective. But like TV, it's going to probably cost you 20 grand just to get into it, just to record, record a little excerpt and then have it be played out on the certain TV channels. So what's cool about TV is that it's turnkey. You know, you spend the money and then you spend the $5,000 every month to keep it going. That's it. You're just going to get leads coming in. You don't have to do any work. So you're leveraging money, not leveraging your time. So when you start doing deals and you start to have that the paper really, then you can start doing things like that. I think that's good when you've got a fully automated business kind of running, doing the clockwork. But don't add TV or radio right away. But radio is the same thing. It's really good. And typically not a whole lot of people have it, and it's very cheap. But it's more like market presence. And I think the more marketing channels that you add, the more you're going to have omni-channel presence. So people are going to kind of recognize the name. So it does help. And then billboards, I mean, really expensive. You probably see it. We buy houses, those guys out there, the home investors. I mean, it works for them, it seems, right? Because you see them everywhere. But realistically, like each deal costs the investors probably what, 10,000? I mean, stupid amount of money, yeah. So you got to make sure you're a closer. And when those leads come your way, you got to close them because they're going to cost you just as much. So I don't love these more expensive methods because they're less returns, you know what I mean? But yeah, focus on income producing tasks, guys. Make sure you're having quality conversations. That's really what it all boils down to. If you're not talking to motivated sellers, you're not really going to make any money. No, not direct to homeowner anyways. You may buy the deal from me, but you're probably not going to buy it from the homeowner if you're not talking to a lot of homeowners. And I'm talking about like at least 5 a day that's kind of motivated, that's seriously considering within the next 30 to 60 days. I would say is a good metric, but the more the merrier. You should be trying to get flooded with that. You know, you should be trying to have 100 calls every day if you can, every day. You should be having probably 400 to 500 dials just to prospects, people that have already raised their hands. You know, this is going to get you probably a lead or two a week, or sorry, a deal or two a week. Just depends. Track your KPIs. Kind of talked about that. Can't really know how you're doing if you're not tracking your results, right? Because you might spend $1,000 and think you spent a lot of money. Why am I not getting results? Well, you probably haven't spent enough. You know, your KPIs don't really show that it's going the right way. But once you know what it takes to get a deal, you know you got to send out 5,000 messages. You know you got to send out 3,000 cold calls. Then you start to understand like, hey, roughly around this part, I should be expecting a deal to come through. You know, and then consistency pays the best dividend. You know, you cannot stop marketing. If you stop marketing, you're starting from scratch every day. That's like probably the biggest thing you want to avoid as well. And that's why I talk about the budget part, because if you have the budget and then you spend it all in 1 month and then you have 2 more months till you're going back to school and you're like, you don't have any money, you're not going to probably have a lot of success. So make sure whatever method you do, that you're able to sustain it for 2 to 3 months. I mean, realistically, at the very minimum. So then the next step is just obviously pick one. I would recommend for pretty much anybody here, mostly for the most part, do cold calling. Hire yourself a VA if you have a little bit of money, right? A VA is a virtual assistant. That's somebody overseas, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Panama, El Salvador. They're sometimes in the Philippines. A lot of them are in the Philippines. People have, I have a couple of Brazilian VAs, and so they do the dials for you, or they do admin tasks. They're buying your time back for a small fee. $4 an hour is not a lot of money to us, but to them it's a full wage job, right? And if you're paying them $5, $6, $7 an hour, they're going to be rock stars, and they just have a lot of customer service experience. So don't be doing something you hate because you're not going to be consistent at it. I think cold calling is one of those things, like, it's very difficult to do consistently, and so you're going to have to kind of grind it out. But as soon as you get a deal and you have some money, hire it out. Start, get you a couple of them. It's going to cost you a couple thousand, right? Maybe a month. But and plus the skip tracing, right? That's also going to be an added cost. But hey, you'll be able to do 2 to 3 deals consistently, and from there you can add on other marketing channels and add more callers and things like that.